So the first reader that I'm going to bring up, his favorite word, and then automatically gives it away because he's in the company of women this evening. This is Ted McLoof, and his favorite word is picayune. Please welcome Ted.
Yeah, I'm very short. Hold on.
Yeah, there you go.
Apologize to the other readers who are of normal height. Thank you, Lisa, for having me, and thank you, Casaliba, for hosting us, and thank you to my 1,500 students who have all shown up here, who are sprinkled throughout. I just got over being sick, and I smoke like 2 packs of cigarettes a day, so if I start coughing and pass out, it's normal. Don't panic. I'm also really bad at this, so this is short, thankfully. So this is called Home Sweet Home. So my plane gets in early, and there's zero to do in my hometown, which I haven't visited in 3 years. But I remembered that if there's a place to be on a Saturday night in Midland Park, New Jersey, it's Legends. You know, Legends. Every town has one. Not Legends specifically, but a towny bar of its ilk. Shittily lit, oak tables, dance floor dimpled and pockmarked like it's got acne. I take a look around the place, and I recognize not a soul, which, to give you context, when I was coming here nightly those few years after high school when I didn't have my shit together, and I was living in my mom's attic, during those years, we knew everyone at Legends. This place was like our fucking living room. Actually, I probably knew more people at Legends than at my own house, considering how seldom I knew the names of the guys that my mom brought home. But since then, the crowd I used to go with has gotten older, traded in their Irish car bombs and beer bottles for German car dealers and baby bottles. So anyway, I don't know anyone here right now, and I'm about to 180 and put a Ted-shaped hole in the north wall when I see Horse at the end of the bar watching the game. Horse, former Midland Park High School quarterback. Horse, who had more sex our freshman year of high school than I've had my entire life. Horse, who's right now sitting alone, slumped in his chair, waving me over like he's been expecting me. What have you been up to, Horse? I ask. And he smiles at me like it's all one big joke. And it is, life, for him. Getting thrown out of ex-girlfriends' houses, he says. Getting thrown out of bars, you know how it is. I don't, but I half smile anyway, making sure not to smile fully, since it's difficult to forget when Horse was 12, and it wasn't girlfriends or bouncers turning him away, but his own father. It's easy to surmise that Horse's life has been basically a series of getting kicked out of places where he thought he felt home sweet home. It's a small shitty bar in a small shitty town where everyone knows everyone else's shit, and I wonder momentarily if Horse knows what I've been up to. What I've been up to. And it's like he can read my mind because he says, how is it out there? ASU, right? And I say U of A at the TV screen where, sure enough, the Wildcats are showing the Sun Devils what's what up and down the field as we speak. The camera's panned to a shot of the cheerleaders, and Horse says, the chicks must be smoking hot at that school, huh? And I say, well, they're my students, in a tone where I may as well be saying they're my daughters. So it's not really like that. He raises his hand at the bartender like a man hailing a cab. Smokin' hot, he says, and flicks my sternum to punctuate each word. I insist that he not pay for my beer. I mean, I'm not exactly planning on staying here with him, if you get me. But there must be some Jerseyan handshake that I've forgotten, because the bartender's already popping the tops off our beers before I can say anything. So I say, you smoke? And he goes, cigarettes? And I nod. And he's already grabbing his coat with one hand and patting the small of my back with the other, with that quarterback's mix of fuck you and good to see you as we walk out. Real quick, so this one thing about Horse. Our senior year of high school, I threw a party at my dad's house when he went away for the weekend, and Lindsay Adams broke up with me at it. At my own fucking party at my own fucking house, I swear to God, she did it. And so I figured, fuck it, it's my party and I'll cry if I want to, so I just went upstairs to mope in my bedroom until the last person left, and I had to clean up. But when I got up there, I saw Horse dangling one of my dad's cats upside down by his tail, and the other cat hiding underneath the bed, and I went, what the hell are you doing? I said that, all 90 pounds of me at the time. To Horse, the school quarterback, who at 17 already looked like a well-built, full-grown man. Horse, who 2 nights later had sex with Lindsay himself. But at that second, I was drunk, and all I saw was someone fucking with my dad's cats. On the night that the first girl I ever loved broke my heart. So I said, "Get the hell out of here!" And he put the cat down. And shrugged and walked past me, no pun intended, with his tail between his legs. And I checked to see if the cats were okay. And before I knew it, Horse had my throat in his grip, my head against the wall, his face turning purple like he was the one being choked, talking through those huge two front teeth that gave him his nickname, saying, "Don't ever fucking talk to me like that again." I'm telling you this because it's what I'm thinking about right now while we're outside smoking my cigarettes together, the professor and the quarterback. I wonder if he remembers nearly choking me to death, but I can't bring it up because I'm looking at him right now and he doesn't look like the quarterback. I know it's a cliche, but this is a true story. What am I supposed to say? Horse really looks like this: beer gut, barely any hair left, baggy eyes. I couldn't feel any worse for him if he himself was a cat being tortured by a sadistic 17-year-old. So instead, I just say, "What are you doing for work, Horse?" And he goes, "Pipes, underground pipes, wall piping, that kind of thing." And I open my mouth to respond despite the lack of anything on my tongue's tip, since I'd be hard-pressed to name a corner of the world that I know less about. But he lets me off the hook when he says, "I'm basically a glorified plumber. Not anything as fun as ASU, I'm sure." And I go, "A U of A." And he just keeps it up while he stares at the window advertising 99-cent hot dogs at 7-Eleven. He says, "I was going to go to Australia. There's this program at work where they send you for 5 months and you learn about piping and water systems down there." At which comment I can't help myself, so I say, "I'm sure it's eye-opening to work with water that spins clockwise." Which joke he either doesn't appreciate or doesn't get, because he just goes, "I don't know," and he stares at the two blonde teenagers walking out of 7-Eleven with Red Bulls in his hand. I mean, they're 17 years old if they're a day, and Horse is looking at them hungrily, like they themselves are 99-cent hot dogs. And they're pretending not to notice in that teenagery way where, let's face it, they obviously do notice, and I'm feeling really uncomfortable until Horse goes, "Hey, I want to show you something." One more thing about Horse before I get to this last part. I haven't seen him in probably 8-ish years, and sure, part of that has to do with the fact that I moved to Arizona 5 years ago, but more generally it's because of the fundamentally divergent paths our lives have taken since we graduated high school a decade ago. Horse went to Springfield University on a full football scholarship for exactly 1 semester until, and again, I know this is a cliche, but again, I don't know how to avoid cliche when you're doing nothing more than recapping the facts of someone's life. Horse got kicked out for drinking too much and one night and wrapping his car around the lamppost in the parking lot of the student union. Kicked out, mind you, from another place he was supposed to feel home sweet home. After that, I saw him a fair amount. This was when I was still going to Legends, and Horse's face started appearing more and more when mine was appearing less and less. And he basically just lived at home with his mom and drank until one night he got arrested for having sex with a 15-year-old and went to prison for 3 years. He'd wanted to become a gym teacher, but obviously those 3 years more or less eviscerated that plan, hence I guess the plumbing. And when he got released, he moved back in with his mom, who died of breast cancer this past January, and left her house to him. We're standing in said house right now, in its carpeted living room with its floral wallpaper. The lights are off, and we're looking at the fireplace, above which is a shelf, surrounded by a kind of basically what you call a shrine, if not a full-on memorial. Actually, you're all from Tucson, so here you go. What it looks like is the sign outside Gabby Giffords' office, circa February 2011, when the whole community got together and decorated the place with flowers and banners of support, except instead of flowers, this whole thing is covered with pictures of Horse's mom. There might be 100, and it's her at every age. She has short hair and dark hair and long hair and light hair and 80s hair and 90s hair, and in nearly all of them, Horse is with her, and in nearly all of those, she's holding him somehow. In her arms when he's a newborn, and on her shoulders after a Little League game, and in an embrace after our graduation. And in all of these pictures, Horse looks like, well, he looks home sweet home. She was pretty, Horse's mom, and we used to give him shit for that, as you do. And I feel like an asshole right now because all I can think of is Gene Hackman's line from the Royal Tenenbaums. "I'm very sorry for your loss. Your mother was a terribly attractive woman." Instead, thank God, I just say, "What is that?" meaning the shrine, even though I know exactly what the actual proper word is for it. "That's my mom," he says. And his tone is weird, like I'm a stranger he's introducing to her. Like we're right now looking at the woman herself. "She liked this thing," he says, this thing he doesn't know the word for. So I figured I'd make it nice for her. It looks like he's going to cry any second. Not sob or wail, but something quieter, like someone trying to stifle a yawn. And he says, "She missed me a lot while I was away," and we let the words "in prison" float around for someone to catch, but no one does. I think of Tucson and want to cheer him up. So I say, They have this thing called the Day of the Dead Parade in Tucson, where we celebrate the lives of people who've recently died. He just keeps looking at what he's made, so I go on. That, I point to the shelf, is called a retable. It's a French word, but I think it originated in Latin. It's a cumbersome word. It's not very attractive, but I kind of like the way that it sounds. He looks at me like he's just been slapped. Ted, he spits my name like a curse. It's always been your problem. You can never just call something what it is. And he turns back to the pictures and says, "That's my mom." And then says it a few more times, as though the repetition will help everything make sense. "That's my mom. That's my mom." Thanks.